Open Topics with Don Armando.
What's good?
Hey,
Hey, how's everything?
everything's good.
Yeah, like I mean, I haven't been back in the city like since January and everything like that.
I can't hear you over the music. Sorry. My bad.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, I haven't been back since January to the city and everything.
Oh,
So yeah, because aunt's passing and everything like that. So I've been really locally here and Philadelphia and everything like that. Looks like that certain stuff is changing and stuff. So that's what it is. So
Mm.
how's everything?
Mm.
Yeah. So how's everything with you? Your career and everything.
Well, my career is good. I'm going through a career transition at the moment, so there's that.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
So what made you feel like you're going to that career transition?
I just want to do something else.
I hear you. I mean, me personally, it's like it's like right now I'm just actually every Wednesday I'm trying to actually make this like a serial thing because
Mhm.
I actually have friends who are into the martial arts.
Mm.
So like the three stuff that we're talking about is like okay, like how to identify a neck dojo. And one of my friends, he's actually from our region, San Pedro de Macorís.
Mm.
And he's a black belt and such. And then I had a guy who's also a veteran also, and he's a pop and he's like a fifth degree Dan in taekwondo also. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I've always
shut
said, I, oh, hey, 18th letter, come up.
yeah,
But you know what? When it comes with martial arts, what do you think about this perennial debate of which martial arts is the best? I always say any kind of combination is usually the best. Well, I guess it
right,
depends on why any person wants to do martial arts. Personally, like for
right,
example, if you just want to get stronger and get better at street fights, definitely you need some kind of a combination. Um,
right,
me personally, I don't think it's the best because I'm like a fight expert, although I've had some
right,
experience. But
right,
my favorite MMA style is I love Muay Thai. I don't know why. I just love it. The art of eight limbs, the idea, the concept of turning every part of your body that has bone into a weapon is so seductive to me.
yes,
I like offensive martial arts more than defensive, but I've tried Muay Thai. I didn't last too long with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I tried that
uh,
for a bit, and I kind of like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but not as much as Muay Thai. You know,
all
it's
right.
yeah. That's just me personally. That's my personal favorite. Do you have like one that you like the best, or do you think they're all equally good?
I mean, me it's like even though it's like I've been like this in the 20s, and now that I'm in my 40s, it's like I would like to try, kung fu or maybe I might go back to taekwondo because I took that when I was a little kid.
Hmm.
But then again, there is jiu-jitsu, sambo, and all these stuff. So my thing is that me personally, I don't like to talk to anybody who's of a style or anything like that. I mean, so therefore, I can make the educated avenue or which style that I'm gonna lean towards to. So type of job.
Mm, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like that our mutual enemy is getting what he's deserving. We're not going to actually mention these people's names because at the end of the day, they're the ones that will try to swap people and try to send cease the desist letters and all that other crap.
Yeah. You
So
know, if
we
you're
just,
gonna be if you're gonna be a shit starter, you really should know how to fight. I don't know how dudes who don't know how to fight talk so much shit.
I know.
Since we're talking
It's,
about martial arts, you know?
exactly. How you doing, Rakim?
What's up, Don? How you been, brother? Shout
I've
out
been
to
doing
E.
I've been doing all right, just staying just doing what I gotta do. Well, I'm just mostly fixing up my house and everything like that. So. and
Yeah,
I'm about to make like, and hopefully I'm trying to get like my own desk for the studio and everything like that because I'm actually trying to rearrange my basement for that and trying to get the equipment also. So I'm like, okay, I'm trying to see if I'm going to get a podcast desk or anything of that nature. So, I'm still debating on that. So I'm actually, I'm actually, investing in everything. Oh yeah, shout out to Blasian King. And all right, so
Oh, he got a strike,
as
so he can wait 90 days. So
yeah, I'm
YouTube is a
like,
whole different animal, man. It's
not it's like I don't know, right? I don't know if you ever had this happen, but it's like either you have to re-download the app or something like that. But whenever there's channels that I like, they're saying subscribe, and I was like, hold up, I already subscribed to them. But then when I actually try to subscribe to them, they was like, oh, is an error in subscribing. So does that mean that I'm supposedly shadow banned? It's like it's been going on for like at least 2 or 3 weeks. And I know that I follow these channels and I support these channels because most of the channels that I actually follow are of my own fellow musicians, whether they'll be from República Dominicana or Venezuela. So something's up with YouTube, and I can't really put my finger on it. And these are actual platforms I actually support. So what's your take on that, Rakim?
yeah. YouTube has went through a dramatic change, especially within the last 2 to 3 years. Ever since they really went corporate, actually, since they've been bought by Google. Um, and we need to pay close attention because every website that is created, like video website from now on, is going to follow the same method that YouTube follow. They're going to use the people to make their platform big. Make the content creators to make their platform big. Then once the platform is big enough, they're going to sell it to corporate, and they're going to cash in and get advertisement money and different things like that. But then they're going to severely, um, what's the word I'm looking for? They're going to limit your, freedom of speech, just like they, did with YouTube. Now, don't get me wrong, some people on here are fucking lunatics, man. But people, you don't have your, freedom of speech no more. I can remember when YouTube was the wild, wild west. You can play music, you can all types of stuff. But once money becomes involved, then it's a lot of disingenuous. It's a lot of people with disingenuous narratives.
Yeah, I know. It's like one of them talking about people with disingenuous narratives. One of them, well, actually several individuals who that they have disingenuous narratives when it concerns to blacks and Latinos, and
Hmm.
you know who I'm talking about.
Right.
Like in our sector, the Latino sector. It looks like that one of the major shit starters has got his hand on his. You always looking for beef, always betraying people. That's his forte, right? So now it's to the point that people are actually exposing on what he is and who he is or whatsoever. And when a person goes and they try to exude what is Dominican pride, or you're gonna go and help the Dominican people, it is being everybody is now seeing that this person is not even about Dominican pride. He's about trying to make Dominican Republic the next quote unquote Argentina, if anybody knows what that means. So with that aspect, it's just getting to the point that now that everything that this guy is actually saying is just turning to be ultimate crap. And if a person, and now what people who are actually getting at him He wants to go around and block people and et cetera, et cetera. So therefore, this is my thing. You want to go and tell the farce that you're an alpha male, you're doing this, that, and the third. But your history and your background or your MO, right, is that all the women that you have always disrespected, whether it be on the TikTok platform, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on Twitter, which is now considered X. Most of the women that you're going against are women that rejected you because they see that you're not a man. I mean,
And what
make
I
that
find
make sense.
funny, yeah, and what I find funny, since we're gonna weave this into martial arts, like it be the pussies that can't fight. Like this dude can't fight, bro. When another Dominican dude, I'm gonna protect his identity and not put his name out there, but he challenged Nacho to a fight, and Nacho folded. It was like, "Stop threatening me, leave me alone, just go your way." And it's like
Not,
he has to do everything behind a third party, and he's got to solicit his groupies to do his dirty work for him because he's not
uh-huh.
that guy, and he
I'm,
does
I'm, I'm
not.
gonna, I'm gonna go around and tell you one better. When I
Like,
was in
take
the
some
Dominican,
martial arts, bro. If you're gonna talk shit and start shit, like honestly, he needs to have his ass handed to him. He really does. He just
oh,
needs to.
oh,
Somebody needs to make him shit his panties just one good time for real. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
because you can't do this shit forever and think you can get away with it. You are going to eventually meet your max. And
Let,
that's
let
why I
me
always tell people like,
let me
knowing how to
say
fight
this.
helps, and I'm gonna wrap it up real quick. Sorry. Knowing
No,
how to fight helps, right? I'm not saying
Right.
that you shouldn't know how to fight, but at the same time, it's like real fighters don't play when it comes to violence. Real fighters are not gonna do this back and forth TikTok shit. They're not going to do all that fake shit, that doxing shit. They're not going to harass women and go back and forth with females and enlist other females, his groupies, to do his dirty work for him. What they're going to do is say, bro, if you want to go, let's go. And when you step to him like that, he can't do it. And what I don't understand is if you know you're a pussy and you know that you don't know how to fight, shut your pie hole. Because some people are about that life off of the internet. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
All
not
right.
saying that just because someone knows how to fight, they should abuse that. A real fighter understands the best fights are the ones that you avoid. Because when you know
Right.
the damage you can inflict, you're not quick to fight somebody. But once you've had enough and you get pushed past a certain violation, it's like, all right, let's either fight it out or shut your pie hole. Like somebody,
Mm-hmm.
until he gets his ass handed to him, like he's at a hospital and his jaw is rearranged, he's not gonna stop his bullshit. He a little
I'm,
bitch who starts shit
I'm,
and then he wanna go call the
I'm
cops.
gonna go. I'm gonna go and tell you one better. When this guy went up and was talking all the crap, and he went up and said a lot of foul stuff about my wife, which I'm not gonna say out here. I almost had that chance to knock him out up in the Dominican parade. I'm gonna keep it 100. So with that said, right, I could tell you it was like around 36 or 37th Street. You know, between Fifth and Sixth, right? Because usually they have like a background where everybody's in the Dominican parade, and you could have like the armbands or whatever if you're gonna be walking to the parade. So it was me, it was my boy El Mutante, and it was me and Jarxiel, right, and his lady. So I was there up in the parade and everything like that. Lo and behold, who I see trying to look right there and all this stuff. Remind you, this is the guy that says all the oh, who want to go after Afro Dominicans or Dominicans my shade color, and he wants to go and tell people, oh, you're not Dominican because of that. Okay, so when you saw all dark Dominicans, right, dark skinned Dominicans, Afro Dominicans, everybody was actually vibing with each other. Who was the pendejo looking like a security guard afraid when you saw a whole bunch of us right there? You couldn't say nothing. You can go around and say, oh, all the racist stuff that you could say on YouTube and everything like that. So right there, I knew that he was a punk. So I was about to go and do what I have to do, but there was too many cops around.
Um, but see, that's the thing, right? We all come from a different. We was all outside as kids before YouTube. We all interact
Exactly.
before YouTube. YouTube, not just YouTube, social media period has emboldened people to say how they truly feel about a lot of things, and ain't nothing wrong with that. The thing is, like, that's unfortunately that's what we're going to run across, and I definitely understand how AD feels, because when you hear a lot of these people talking the rhetoric that they be talking, it's just like y'all grew up in New York, so it's just like when you hear people saying the things that they say, you want to confront that person, like, yo, what was that slick stuff you was popping out your mouth? But like, YouTube has created that medium where people can really say how they feel without any type of consequences, and antagonize people, like what she said about people doing his dirty work, and different things like that. And I've seen it personally, and it's it's a it'll never be to the point where you'll be able to find somebody in the street, because a lot of the people, they don't really want those type of problems. And one thing too is false narratives being spread just to boost people's ego. They really don't care about what they're talking about, but they do enjoy the following. They enjoy people. Everybody has a voice, unfortunately, on social media, and they can find a lot of the types of people that agree with them or feel just how they feel. So unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's where we at. I don't agree with it. I think some people shouldn't be talking, but everybody can speak these days.
I mean, it's to the point, right? Let's see who's here.
See,
Okay.
I'm waiting for AD to start. I'm waiting for AD to start a channel, but I told her she come on my channel.
I mean, if anything, what we're gonna do is you know, I'll help anybody that'll start a channel and stuff because me, Don Jose, Georgia got a channel.
Hmm.
We're just waiting for Irby and whosoever could start the
The
channel
18th letter,
because
the thing is, you're always working and you're like a vampire. So, like,
I am. I am.
I don't, you know what it is? I'm just so new to um, the concept of, how to be a content creator on other platforms. You know what I mean?
right,
And so ever since I lost my TikTok, because TikTok is how I was starting to get a hang of it. But
Mhm.
although I will admit, even though I will say TikTok honestly is changing also. Their moderation practices
yeah.
are being dictated by AI. They pick
How
and
you doing,
choose when
Randy
they want.
Jane?
And so, like, these platforms, it's like what I hate about social media is that I don't want to work my ass off to try to build a platform. And then they change the rules at the last minute. And for some dumb reason, I either get a strike or I get, you know what I mean? And then all my hard work
Yeah,
just goes, evaporates. And then it's like, fuck, I got to start from scratch. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
don't think it
not not,
matters
not
as much if you have a very large following and you got plenty of people that are interested in what you have to say. It's easy to just start over. But like when you're somebody that doesn't have that, it's a pain in the ass to start again, you know? So that's the thing with me. Like I've
yeah.
been trying to like maybe get something started on YouTube, but editing is a pain in the ass, camera quality matters. And look, when you're a woman, it is especially harder to get people to really listen to what you have to say unless you truly have like a ton of credentials, right? Because usually women, it's like when you're on camera, it matters if you're attractive. It matters if you dress slutty. It matters if you sound seductive. Like when you're a dude, you have to be engaging, don't get me wrong, and it doesn't hurt to look good. but you guys are not as scrutinized for that as us. Like I can't tell you how many times these cocksuckers on TikTok and whatever will take unflattering posts of me all the time. Like if I show my face, and they'll take pictures of that, and then they'll make fake pages talking about my looks, and it's like, and I noticed like even on X, right? Because I'm more active on X now. Like every time a motherfucker doesn't have an argument, they always go for my looks, and it's just
All right.
like,
Well,
you know.
you want to know something which I've seen, whether it be on X or any other platform. When a man actually goes for a woman's looks first instead of actually debating a woman intelligently, it actually exudes the part of immaturity that man's has. Like for example, imagine if a man, we all men, me and Rakim, right? Imagine a man on social media just because, okay, I don't agree with the issue. Oh, you're gonna go and call a woman a fatty. Okay, so let's put it like this. You're calling a woman a fatty. I mean, like, okay, some of these people they claim to be educated, right? They claim to be the know-it-alls, the professionals, etc., right? But you're gonna go and call a woman a fatty just because you're not agreeing with what she's saying, and then on top of it, instead of making that post personal or whatsoever, you want to go and talk about, oh, this person's a faggot. That means that what they're saying is null and void. Okay, so when you actually go and debate professors and everything like that, are you gonna say, hey sir, you're a shorty? You going to try to say what? Like in the world of academia, if you have to go and resort to personal dissing to get your point across or to even have a good debate, I'm sorry, none of these people will have good debating skills.
No,
Mm.
and they always make it personal, and then when it's not, then they go to the extreme where now then they start doxing you, then they start threatening your family. There's a fake TikTok page going around doxing me and my family, and I'm like, let me tell you something. If you want to be dumb enough and fuck with an Italian man, a well-connected Italian man's family, by all means, fuck around and find out. But I'm gonna sleep butt naked with the fan on. Yeah, y'all are not gonna threaten me because I know I'm well protected. But a lot of people, it's like they were hoping, like they were playing the, oh, we're gonna dox her card, and I know it was Macho's bitch ass who gave them my information. All right, you think I don't know where in West Milford, New Jersey you live, cocksucker? Like, if I really wanted to show up with my pit bulls, my human pit bulls to your place, we can settle the score. But you're so fucking pathetic. And maybe this is my problem, right? I don't know if this is normal, but you ever hated somebody so much that you also kind of feel bad for them. Like, I'm just gonna let you think you're doing something here because you're a fucking nobody. And I know you shit your panties if a dude challenged you to a fight. Like you know what I'm saying? You should not run your mouth if you can't fight. It's really that simple. Okay? And that's my thing.
Right.
It's like even with because one thing and Rakim, you weren't here. I don't know if you caught the very beginning of the chat I was asking Armando like, what do you think is the best? What is your favorite martial arts style? And I've always said if you can incorporate as many different styles as possible, for the purposes of street fighting, it is best. But my thing is, even if, for example, that loser were to take a class tomorrow and like try to learn how to fight, at the end of the day, nothing, it's better than nothing, but nothing really substitutes experience. Okay. If you've never been into a real fight, you're not, because, Mike Tyson always said it like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Okay, it'll never be the same punching a bag or even sparring, which is as close as you can get. It'll never be the same. You understand? It's like you have to how do I explain it? Martial arts is like it's almost like having insurance, kind of, right? And somebody did say that. Um, a content creator that I follow said that. I'm just blanking on his name. He said that knowing how to fight is like insurance. You is good to have it, but you'd rather not have to use it, but you use it only when you need it. You understand? And
Right.
so a lot of these people, like I have yet to find people that either know how to discipline themselves when it comes to fighting, or like they either are bullies or they are just people who talk shit because they know that they are protected. You know what I mean? I really admire the type of people that can fight but are not quick to fight. Not because they're scared of what will be done to them, but because they know the harm that they can do and they harness it. You know what I mean? Like that dude that threatened Macho and Macho got scared. He didn't huff and puff. He just said, "Listen, I know where in West Milford you live." And that's literally all he had to say. And Macho was like, "Stop it with the threats." Because Macho knows. You know what I mean? And so that's my thing. It's like, what I'm just trying to say with it is, if you're going to run your mouth, like, stop looking for trouble with people, but at least be smart enough to back it up and know how to fight if you're going to start shit. Like, I just find it ironic how it's always the people who are so pussy and are so, like, lame and who are not really about that life, who want to just spend so much time trying to convince people that that's who they are. You know what I mean? It's like, for what? It's not cool. It's not cool. Like, people who can actually fight rather not have to. We really don't. We really don't. We don't have shit to prove to anybody. But it's just like these buffoons. It's like the more they know they can't, the more they just grasp for other sorts of cheap ass intimidation tactics. Marco does what he does because he knows I'm the type of bitch that I'm not going to dox you. You deserve it, but I'm not enough of a low life to do that. I'm not going to. You know what I'm saying? I have men in my family that I can have them straighten you out just to prove a point.
Yep.
But I
I'm.
just I just know you are going to be the kind of guy that's probably gonna cry. And I don't know why. I don't know why I hate his ass and at the same time feel sorry for him. But it's like, bro, you're so pathetic. You're not worth it, bruh. But I'm telling you right now, like one of these days, he's going to do it to the wrong one because he's not that smart. He-
No,
So
he's not. And I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to tell you another instance. When I got doxxed on Anno, right? And the person that he sent, well, let's just put it like this: this person's an enemy of mine. And the whole reason that the doxer went up and doxed me is because of my friendship with Zacharias. Now, remind you, before anything, I didn't do anything towards anybody or anything like that. I got my, I have my own. How should I say? I had who I was beefing with, which is Nacho, and that was it. So apparently, I guess Nacho got mad because he hates when men defend their wives and stuff like that. So he went up and sent the most violent doxer ever. So the guy for ever since from October to now always wants to post pictures of my wife, and in a lot of instances he actually went up and he dissed he actually went and came after my boy Giorgio and Don Jose, for example. It's just it's crazy on how certain people they want to go and they do the stuff like, oh, your property value and all this other stuff. I'm like, the way that people be dissing, you can tell that they're immature because you're saying stuff that don't really affect me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm still living my life. I'm still doing what I'm doing. And what the heck y'all gonna do? You want to go around and say, "Oh, I'm gonna see you." Okay, so you're gonna go around. So let's put it like this in a rational moment. You're gonna see me, and you want to go around and tell people on open social media that I'm going to get arrested just because of my friendship with Zacharias. You see how dumb that sounds?
Yeah, I don't pay close attention to a lot of what these people say. But one thing I will say, AD, I definitely believe if you start a channel, you will really like it. I think you have the personality and you're very balanced to be able to have people when you do your stream yards and people that come over. I think you'll get a lot of subscribers pretty quick, especially people coming over from TikTok as well.
I don't think so because there's some people who follow me on TikTok when I had my main account active, and then when
Hmm.
I tried to like have them add me, they were like, and so what I don't understand is why did you follow me on my main account, but now that I'm starting over, I don't have your support because people are fake as fuck. They only chase clout. And it's like once they realized that that was gone and I had to start over, then it was like, oh, no, I don't want to follow you this time around. And it used to be people that would stalk my shit. They would look at everything, but they would never like anything, share anything, engage with my shit. It's just like, okay, fuck you then.
Yeah, those people, they everywhere, all through social media, no matter what platform it is. Or people that stalk just to go report it to somebody you got issues with, or are they doing a stream right now? That shit is everywhere. But yeah, like social media has really given people like that gateway to be what they wasn't in real life, and that's what you see a lot of on social media. Like I didn't. It's funny because I done had dudes threaten me and all of that before. I, it'd be funny to me because I'm like, you ain't really living like that. It's all good though, because I know if it's in a situation, if need be, I know what I'm gonna do. So there's no sense in me even it ain't no sense in me even tripping on it. People just be running their mouth. Um, like I say, it's really just has given people confidence to say the things that they wouldn't say in public. But that's good though, because I think on social media you get the real truth out of people, how they really feel about things. And that's why I like it. But everybody can spew their own ignorance. People can lie and come up with these false narratives, and that's what we dealing with now. And a lot of people are doing it for profit too. Can't forget that. So,
Let me ask you real quick, Rahim, what is your favorite martial arts?
my favorite martial arts. Well, I used to take for a brief period. I used to take karate just for a brief period when I was a shorty. I was almost a yellow belt. That sound weak as hell, but I was almost a yellow belt. I was like 11 or 12 or something like that. But I think I like taekwondo. I like jujitsu. I like jujitsu because you can take a motherfucker to the ground. And in street fights that I've had, and plenty that I've been a part of, been there. When hey, you
Got
get a motherfucker to the ground, it ain't no rules. I get you to the ground, I'm gonna beat the brakes off you, and might beat you till you unconscious. It happens a lot when people get taken to the ground. If you ain't got no ground skills and you can't get up quick enough, it's a wrap.
Do you think people
Good evening,
overvalue
Jose. How
strength?
you
Oh,
doing?
sorry. Hi, Don Jose. I'm sorry.
Hey,
Do
what's
you
up,
think,
okay?
and
Good
this is for
evening, everybody.
anybody can answer this. Anybody can answer this. And Don Jose, you can answer too. Do you think that when it comes to like martial arts or whatever, like I think people tend to, and I'm not saying strength doesn't matter, but I think people tend to overhype strength when they don't understand how important like agility and speed and balance are as well. Because
Absolutely.
like they think like, oh, until I can break a board, then it doesn't matter. And it's like, for example, you can throw a powerful punch, but if let's say
all
you're in
right.
kickboxing, right? If you tend to over telegraph your punches and your enemy can see what you're doing, that doesn't help. Or if you have a slow reaction time, that doesn't help because you got to understand, you're never going to be, well, you can't rely on always being the strongest. You're not always, and especially like I'm a woman, right? I can't always guarantee I can't take down most men. I am part of the weaker sex. So you have to like take advantage of every. I think what makes a good fighter is also knowing what's coming and reacting to it quickly. And what makes a good fighter too is knowing how to exploit everybody's weak points. If you know what they are and you can get to them before the person gets to you, that is usually the best thing. But too many people talk about, they'll say, oh, this person's only like 800, this person's only 180 pounds and I'm whatever. And yes, strength is a part of it. And there are weight class differences. But one of the things that aggravate me a lot about people who don't understand proper fighting is you cannot constantly get cocky off of strength alone and don't underestimate your opponent. Because somebody who knows how to fight may be slightly weaker than you, but because they know the right techniques and they have other strengths to them beyond just pure muscle and weight, they can still maybe not whoop your ass, but they could at the very least, make it hard for you to whoop theirs. I always say either I'm gonna beat your ass or I'm gonna make sure that you can't beat mine. That's as long as I put myself in that position, that's what matters. But a lot of people, like, what do you think? I guess what I'm asking some of you is, what do you think are some of the misconceptions that people have about strength and fighting and all of that? And like, that you wish people would understand it's not like that when it comes to fighting.
Well,
Well,
you
All
you
right.
pretty much.
Well,
Oh,
well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jose.
well, in all fairness, I'm not into martial arts, but what I think, this is what I think of the myths is that martial arts is like the old kung fu movies that you see in the TV, like in the '70s with Bruce Lee and things like that, when one person can take on like 30 guys and in one time. I mean, I think that's one myth. Another myth is you have to be strong. I mean, basically, you have to be swift, you have to be agile,
mhm.
and you also have to use knowledge regarding your opponent to your opponent's disadvantage. That's my understanding of it.
Well, I think you've broken it down pretty well, AD. Sometimes people's strength can be used against them when fighting. If you're, especially if your reaction time is not on point and you throw that punch, if you use a lot of force with that punch, they can, use that force against you, dodge it, grab your arm when you're trying to swing, because you like when you're trying to throw punches and everything. Some people just put strength into the punches. They don't watch their balance. They don't use emotions in their hips or their footing. They just using their shoulder and their arm and trying to throw it as hard as they can. And that can be used. That can be used to somebody's advantage, especially if that person is a lot quicker. So,
Yeah.
Ron, what do you think what are some of the misconceptions or some misconceptions you had until you became a trained fighter and once you learned how
well,
this opened
yeah,
your mind?
I'm not a
Well,
trained fighter, but
I'm not.
yeah,
I'm not
go
a
ahead.
trained fighter, but I've been in a lot of fights. One thing that I could actually say though is that certain people, they think that since they have like weight or anything like that they could actually go and tell people on what to do and everything like that. But when somebody actually has heart and to confront you, and also you know do whatever as far as defending themselves and everything like that, it's just to the point that anything could happen, and that's what some of these cowards on social media, they want to go on display. And one thing that I've actually seen is that some of these people, right, will actually say that they're fighters or whatever in that realm, or try to portray that they're fighters. Is that half the people? So the biggest misconception that I've seen that certain rely on their strength and
So
everything.
you muffled.
Oh yeah, my bad. I was saying that they were that they rely on their strength instead of the technique. Because even though a skinny person could have a technique and defeat a strong man, I mean, historically, and I'm just gonna say historically because I wasn't there. Bolo Young and Bruce Lee, I guess they had a sparring session or stuff in Enter the Dragon. So Bolo, you know, everybody knows that he's a tough guy. They was like, oh, he could do this or do that. But Bruce Lee, allegedly, went up and was so faster than Bolo, he almost knocked Bolo to the floor or something like that. That's what I heard the story about. So that goes to show you, it depends on how much heart a person has. When they actually,
you know what they say? It's not the size of the dog in a fight. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
Exactly. And I've seen that time and time again, whether it'll be street fights or other fights to be imaginable. So,
and it's true because if you see actual Muay Thai fighters back in Thailand, the 18th letter, I said that was my favorite form of martial arts, Muay Thai. But if you see these guys, they don't look menacing at all. Mm-hmm. Like Bruce Lee, they don't look menacing. They don't look. You look at them and you're like, these guys, and it's like, yeah, these guys. And it goes to show you, like, you can never, don't ever underestimate somebody. Never think because, oh, they're smaller, or because they're this, or because they're that. You don't know what somebody's got on their sleeve. You don't. Fighters don't all have to have a certain
like
look a certain way or be a certain way. You know what I mean? I know there's actually a woman that she's like my woman crush every day. I don't know if you guys know her, but you can look her up.
Right.
Her name is Raina Vallandigham.
You talking about the Russian chick?
Vallandigham. I love her.
Oh, okay.
She's only 21 and has already won 13 world Taekwondo titles because she actually started training at the tender age of 2, and she won her first fight. Wow. I think her first championship at just 9 years old. Like, that's dedication. She's been doing this for damn near her whole life. She's 21 now, but she still trains, but she's trying to move into, like, she wants to do stunt work, content creation, and she definitely wants to also train women, which I think is great. Exactly. But I just think it's funny, and I don't mean to make this about gender, but I guess since I'm the only female here, like, one of the things that she has to contend with is how pissed off men get at the idea of a strong woman or of a badass chick. Like, she'll post, like, videos, you see her training, and she's giving these roundhouse kicks that can crush people's ribs. And they're like, no, you ain't shit, you know, that you women don't get no ideas. A lot of you guys, you know, they either, like, deny that she is formidable, or they'll tell women, well, fine, but she's the exception. Y'all are not the rules. You're not just going to learn Taekwondo and think you can beat the average man, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, and she says that as a woman, she constantly has to most of her hatred comes from men. Which is like, I thought other women, you know, because women, we can sometimes be catty, but she says it's usually men that constantly come for her, and they'll say stupid shit like, no, well, you know, you can't beat my gun, and she'll be like, yeah, no shit, a gun will take me out. A gun will take anybody out. Like, you kidding me? But it's just like, it's ironic to me how, like, whenever a man sees, like, an insecure man sees a very strong woman, their first instinct is to just discredit or to convince women, well, don't get any ideas. Like, why are you so threatened by a woman being strong? Could it be because you're scared that you might get your ass kicked by a woman? You know what I mean? Like, because you're a fat, greasy neckbeard and you can't run a flight of stairs without running out of breath and she could kick your ass. Just say that you're insecure. Like, you don't have to discredit her, you know?
Right. I mean, but sometimes you have some of these men that they actually have, like, you know, delusions of grandeur, and then when they actually meet a person who actually destroys their illusions of grandeur. I'm saying illusions, not delusions. Illusions. When they destroy the illusion, that person becomes your enemy. And I'm seeing this time and time again, whether it be a woman or a man. When you destroy that illusion of grandeur, you could see that you're the enemy right away. That's why I think all the doxing and smear campaigns happening is because people are so butthurt that their illusion is destroyed when they meet a person. Now,
Um,
if you have an
uh,
illusion, uh,
yeah.
oh,
Um, Earlier, Rakim was talking about some of these characters that we see in these YouTube streets. Okay, I
right,
have, I mean, I call them the mentally and intellectually challenged because they are challenged. And the fact of the matter is, you have a lot of people who have, you know, their head is not on straight. And you can see it by the way they interact with other people, particularly when you're talking about dealing with a woman who is confident in herself, in her abilities, and in her talents. So what these weak people would do is like they would like downplay a woman's abilities or talents, or they would downplay the trauma that women go through.
yeah,
And I've seen this a lot in these YouTube streets. I didn't think I would see it as much, but I mean, in all my time here as a YouTube creator, I've seen a lot of immature people acting very foolishly.
yes,
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Don. I am not feeling the music. I feel like
oh,
when
all
you
right,
have the music,
I'll
I
change
can't
it.
hear the person. I don't mean to tell you what to do in your life, but it's just like I can't.
All right,
It
nah, because
triggers my no.
I
I don't
actually
want
have
any
like
I don't want any
you know,
music. I don't want any music. I'm sorry,
Um,
or at least lower it because I
okay,
feel like I
yeah,
have to yell over it.
gotcha,
Thank you.
Um,
yeah.
AD, if that's your name, AD.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, first of all, my pleasure interacting with you. Are you a YouTube creator yourself, or
Not really. I'm just somebody who, can I be honest with you? I just love to argue. I really do. I won't have a contrarian opinion just because, like, I mean the things that I say. But if I just so happen to stir the pot amongst people who clearly are not used to being challenged, it makes my panties wet. You
okay?
know what I'm saying?
Got you.
But I don't have the patience. I don't have the patience. The reason I don't want to start a channel is because I've seen this happen too many times where people start a channel and they pour their whole personality and heart into it, and you see the genuine them. But then once they reach a certain size or a certain sphere of influence, it's like they chase vanity metrics, and it's like now every video is a sponsored video. And then they're like, like I knew this one girl that I used to watch her videos, and she would like make her videos longer than they needed to. And like the last 10 minutes was no real content, but she needed the videos to be a certain length so she can have ad revenue. And I just unsubscribed. I'm like, bitch, don't do shit like that. You know what I mean? Or like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like when people jump on every trend, and I can tell like they become nothing more than robotic metric chasers. I hate that shit. And so
Exactly.
many so many creators go through that, and I'm so scared of losing my soul like that. And so that's why I just do not care for, like, I wish when I was on TikTok, I didn't give a shit about any of that. I just cared about just bearing my soul. But it's so hard with some of these platforms because then you have to constantly worry about what you can say and what you cannot say. And you have to remember to say grape instead of the R word that rhymes with grape. And you have to make sure that you don't do this and that. And you got to make sure that you use the right pronouns, or certain people are gonna come after you and mass report you. And it's just like I have the motherfucking patience to be so worried about all this peripheral bullshit that it takes me away from focusing on just delivering the content that I want to deliver. And so because I don't have that fucking patience, I really just don't, and I was telling and bless you him earlier, like almost every social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and now even X, like they start out being this
Nope.
hot thing, this new thing where people could just be themselves and authentic. There was a certain level of authenticity, and then bam, like just like Rakeem said, then all of a sudden the fucking corporate side takes over and the money takes over, and then all these rules change and you have to adapt to this, and now you can no longer say that. And I just don't have the motherfucking patience for that, man. I just want a platform where I could just say what the fuck I want, and if you don't like it, don't subscribe to me and go your way. Something
Exactly.
for somebody else out there. Yeah, and that's it. Like, and it's just like people are just a bunch of fragile pussies. You can't really say anything, otherwise, it becomes World War III, and then people don't just leave shit. They don't leave internet beef on the internet. Then they gotta dox you, and then they gotta talk about your looks, and then they gotta bring up your family, and then they gotta dig up your past, and then and it just becomes like, bro, y'all need to touch some fucking grass. I don't.
Exactly.
Um, but you know something, Look, I've been a YouTube creator for almost 3 years. Okay, and of course I have my own platform. I don't have a lot of rules. Okay, or okay, the only thing I ask everyone that's on the panel, on the chat, be mutually respectable. I don't censor people. Anyone can say whatever the fluff they want. Okay.
Exactly.
All I ask is let's be mutually respectful. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, there's certain guidelines, community guidelines that's here, whether it be YouTube or Twitter or Instagram. Um, one platform you might be better off doing is going on Rumble, because it's not as stringent as far as what you can say or not say.
Exactly.
But how many people are really on Rumble? Because Rumble and Twitch are kind of competing with each other. But those sound like very niche places that only certain people go to. Like only streamers seem to do
I'm,
well
I'm,
on that fucking app.
I
Well,
mean,
look,
if you actually look at it, right? I've been trying to talking about it. It's not so much Twitch and Rumble who's going together. Now it's that new platform which is Kick, because now the people who I'm seeing who are the stars, what's this guy's name? The young boy that actually owns stock in half of Twitch. Tag, his name is Aiden Ross, right? So Aiden Ross and and another streamer by the name of Vitali, right? One thing that I could actually say that they use their Kick platform for is just to confront these creeps. One thing I actually see. So a lot of people, I guess now that there's a lot of creeps who are actually trying to harm kids. So they actually confront them and do like the Chris Hansen and everything like that on them. So it's even to the point that they don't even have like, okay, they just don't roll by themselves. They actually had what's his name? That had a little pump with them. They had this guy, what's his name? Charles Tag, the guy from Texas, the guy with one eye. Yo, Rakim, you know who I'm talking about, right? Dag, Charles White,
Team, are you
Charleston
alive?
White.
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry about that, guys. I went to go grab my cherry pie. What you guys say
Don't be
again?
telling us what you eating if you can't share.
All right.
What you say about
Dag,
Charles
I'm like
White?
cherry pie. Dag, I haven't had that in years. Nah, because I was saying that that kick, right? That they'll be doing the Chris Hansen type joints. That they had a little
Uh-huh.
that they had like Charleston White that had a little pump. They'll be rolling with the tally, and they had that guy from the West Coast, the one with dreads, Dag, that he be in every song. Ty, I forgot his,
DJ
but
Khaled. I know
he's a
he's in every
very
fucking
known
song.
singer.
Yeah,
No, no, no,
DJ
no,
Kane.
not DJ Khaled.
Everything. Yeah, they say you from the West Coast. Not Nipsey because Nipsey's passed away. Uh,
No,
oh no.
Oh no, if he's from the West Coast, I can't help you. I don't know no
yeah,
West Coast fuckers. I only know Kendrick because of the stupid beef.
Oh yeah, with Drake. I
yes,
hate. Why do people be hating on Drake, man?
yeah. Ty Dolla Sign.
Ty Dolla Sign. Yeah, I know who Ty Dolla Sign is.
I
God, I
mean, me
forgot that
personally is
person
this.
existed.
It's been a while,
All right,
hasn't it?
so
It's been a while since we heard about Ty Dolla.
yeah, yeah. So Ty Dolla, he even with Ty Dolla Sign when they went up in career and confronted a 60-year-old creep.
Uh
So
huh.
it's like all the stores or internet stores that they actually having. Vitali's actually having these stores roll with him just to confront these creeps. I was like, yo, I could say this about Vitali and Aiden Ross. Those guys are actually standing on business when they're actually confronting these creeps.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of them out here. It's definitely quite a few of them out here. But yeah, man. Like what we was talking about earlier. With the internet and everything, it's pretty much and it's just I had to learn that over time because when I first came on here, like I came on here through Radical's channel, and I thought people was genuinely trying to have conversation, like dialogue, and I found out as time went on that wasn't the case. A lot of people, and then it's a lot of people that's fucking
yeah.
immature on
Yeah, like
on
for example, right? Yeah, like when I first actually became the streamer and everything, or whatever. My
right,
first my first thing I went on Fighters what channel. I was like, okay, I'm just showing love to somebody who's showing love to my parents' town. The next thing you know, I'm being called a creyente, a fake Dominican, um, all this other stuff. Now I was like, okay, I'm just being here. I'm not doing anything. I didn't go around and offend people, but apparently people love to try to offend me. And guess what? It didn't work out for them because I showed my receipts, and a lot of these people ain't showed none. So
it's just
what does
the
that mean?
level of ignorance on here, man. And the thing is that get me people the willful ignorance. People like want to be stupid. Like that's the thing that gets me, man. People literally want to be stupid. Like you've always acknowledged your African ancestry, your black background being a Dominican. AD's always acknowledged her African ancestry, her black background being Dominican. Jose has always acknowledged his African ancestry coming from the island of Puerto Rico. That he always tells people, I'm a mixture of three races of Spaniard, African, and Taino. A lot of people, the level that people don't understand race and nationality is like a lot of people really need to go back to school. If it was up to me, some of these I
Exactly.
embarrass some of these young adults and put them like in second grade. Had a desk
Exactly.
right next to a second grader. Like here, you sit right there. You grown as hell. You 41, but you need to sit right there because you don't understand. It's like it's a lot of lessons that y'all must have missed. Like, and you would
But
tell
it's
people,
so but it's scary, Raheem, how angry they get at you for trying to lead them out of ignorance. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like
yeah,
how dare you try to educate me? Why didn't you just let me stay stupid? The problem is because a lot of these ignoramuses have such fucking persistently loud voices. And then
yes,
they drown out the normal ones, and then people think that those people represent the typical Dominican. I mean, I can't begin to tell you the amount of people that cream their panties when they see me embrace my black side and they're like, oh, I'm shocked because, your people. And as much as I get annoyed by that, I almost cannot blame them because it is these Hispanistas who are just fucking loud and never shut their trap. And it's like they are the ones that want to define all Dominicans. And what's funny is they love to tell me their favorite accusation of me is, oh, you let the white guy brainwash you and you fell for you're an African American, pick me, and they're just trying to boil you down to a crayon box color and this, that, and the third. It's like, no, I don't have to deny my blackness to also acknowledge that I'm more than a color. Yeah, there's more to me than the fact that I'm a black woman, but I don't have to deny my blackness. Like, why can't multiple things be true at the same time? And so, what's funny is they love to say that, oh, I'm telling them how they need to identify. When I specifically said, I don't give a damn how fellow Dominicans who reside on the island identify. Because I understand that how in this country the conception of race is different. What I'm acknowledging, and I'm only acknowledging the very Afro presenting Dominicans who look
Like
with
myself.
Jackson. Yeah, like, and then they come to this country. All I'm telling them is this is the reality of how race is perceived here. It's about phenotype, period. Nobody gives a fuck what your language is. What if you eat rice and beans? If you dance bachata, nobody fucking cares. Yes, that's culture. That's not race. And so all I'm telling people is if you're a black presenting Dominican who resides in the US, this is how you're going to be perceived, whether the hell you like it or not, forcing people outside of anything to identify however. I'm telling you how you're going to be perceived based on the social code that governs this country. And they love to scapegoat African Americans. I said it's not just African Americans. Any hyphenated American that looks at somebody who has black phenotype, you're going to be assumed to be black. I told them
Right.
even other Latinos, until I speak Spanish, they can't even clock me as Afro Latina. They just think I'm black. And so I mean black, I'm American. So
Right.
the funny part is they love to accuse me of forcing them to identify a certain way, but yet they're the ones that they want to define all Dominicans. Like to be Dominican, if you are not the type of Dominican that we want and you don't toe the colonizer bootlicker talking points, you're not really Dominican. The amount of times I've had to tell Dominicans on TikTok, especially the nationalists, saying she's not Dominican, she's a closeted Haitian, she's not really Dominican. And I'm like, bitch, were you there when my parents fucked and made me? Do you know which pussy I came out of? Like, you don't know me to tell me
Yo,
what I
dead.
am. But the thing
Yo,
is, and I
dead.
and I keep telling them, I'm like, how much you want to bet that if I had blonde hair and blue eyes, you wouldn't tell me, oh, she's Haitian? How much you want to bet you wouldn't be asking me for a cedula and my citizenship and my and Dominican duality if I looked the way that you wanted me to look? But it's almost like, well, if you're Dominican, you have to think a certain way, you have to believe a certain way, and if you don't, we're gonna revoke your Dominican card. So it's like it's projection because here you are
You
telling
know,
me that I'm telling you how to identify, but you're the one who's trying to pigeonhole all Dominicans and determine that Dominicanness has to look a certain way or think a certain way. So it's just they're ignorant,
yeah.
but they also love to project.
But
Nah,
speaking
but you want to
about
know?
it,
All right, not for nothing. If you actually look at it, right, the projection of the individual, Mr. Butthurt, the guy that likes to send pictures of his meat to women and transgenders. Yeah, I'm saying it.
What?
Now,
Oh Lord, have mercy.
exactly. So, with that said, allegedly, right? Because we don't know if it's true or not, but it has been said. When if you're gonna go and talk about that every Dominican has to identify with the Republican Party, no. And I'm gonna tell you why. A lot of these people, believe it or not, they will not know the history of a Dominican person that came here in the 1950s or 60s. That's where this is the narrative that is missing. When I actually talk about the narrative of people who were from the 60s and 70s, oh, I'm ignorant. Okay. And I heard some other idiot that want to try to say, when I grew up, I didn't see Dominicans with afros and everything like that. I'm like, homie, you smoking crack? Like, if you actually look at most of the merengueros in the 1970s, I could name you a few who had afro. Fernando Villalona, Wilfrido Vargas, Johnny Ventura, and the late, and Luisito Martin. So therefore, when a person actually makes stuff about or a generalization of what they thought or of the Dominicans that grew up in their neighborhoods, they're not actually they're not actually being factual. And then on top of it, there's certain stuff that they don't even know. That I had to go and tell one of these Hispanista jerks when I was talking about the history of Arabs in the Dominican Republic. He's like, "Oh, it's interesting." Well, guess what? But then he's like, "Well, you're not Dominican." I was like, "Well, you're black. Well, you look blacker than me." Like, come on. And
And
to
you know
me,
what I've noticed? Armando, do you really think that one thing I noticed with this a lot of Hispanistas, right? Like they're soft as hell. They act like a 12-year-old on her period. They're just soft bitches. And you guys want to start this revolution when the fact is, y'all, you can even start a lawnmower. Like, what do you think because you got 3,000 cum guzzlers on the internet spewing your freaking xenophobic bullshit that you really are somebody? And it's just like it's the delusion, and it's just like I one thing I've noticed. Look, God forgive me because I'm not trying to trash my own men, but so the Dominican dudes, some of them that I know, like
Hello,
they're just
hello.
hello, hi, they're just soft as hell, and I'm just like, you guys are too mujercitas to be acting tough. I think in the Dominican Republic, every Dominican person should be forced to like learn martial arts because Dominicans, for some reason, when we come to this country, a lot of us are the punching bag because we want to bring our ideologies about race from the island to here. And we don't like it when we're told that, hey, in here it's different, cabron. You know what I mean? Like, in fact, I think, I, why, do you remember the whole Trinitarios and how they started? Because apparently in prisons,
got you.
Dominicans were
Well,
picked on.
Pete.
Hello.
Well, she's a Macorizana too, Pete.
Saludos.
Hey, Pete.
Pedrito, Barrio
This
México.
this is my boy Pete. He's an actual martial artist.
Yeah,
Saludo.
Pete.
Shout
Yes.
out.
Um,
Yeah,
like
Villa
always,
Velasco
I wanna,
aquí.
like always, I wanna take advantage of the first few seconds that I'm on. Thank the Lord for having me here today. You know, I want to bless the listeners, the followers, the commentators, the people that are sharing this
Right.
broadcast, the people that are going to hear it later. Like I've always said, this is a production that's going to reach the masses and multiply and be fruitful in grand way. So once again, I just want to extend that blessing out, and to all the martial artists that are listening, us, I respect your discipline. Always keep training, always keep practicing, never stop fighting.
Amen. Amen. I received that. I received that, brother.
Right.
Let's go.
Well, uh,
But speaking
now
about the, I'm sorry,
now
but speak,
this is my thing, and
Don
um,
Armando, let Jose go. I'm sorry. I feel like he speaks the least here.
but speaking about these Hispanotaps, okay, you know what's absolute lunacy? When you have one individual that looks that his phenotype is about as dark as Don Armando, talking about that he's Caucasian and that he's Spanish and that he wants to make the DR white again. Okay, first of all, newsflash for
When
everybody.
was the DR ever white?
Okay, I'm gonna get. It was never. Look, let's keep it 100. What happened was you have a group of Spaniards. They came over here to the DR. Most of them did not bring their women, and of course, men have carnal urges. So what they did, they got busy with the native indigenous women of the island. Some of them was consensual, others was forced. And then when they brought the Africans over here over to the DR, some of decided, to get busy with some of the African women, which explains why you have all sorts of different shades of Dominicans.
And this happened all throughout the Caribbeans, Latin America. Like we just, it's I don't, I just, and like what I find funny is they don't even mean what they say because they don't really want to completely blanquear. They don't really want to make us fully European because they still want to embrace parts of our culture that wouldn't be what it is without Africans. We love the plátano. Where did the plátano come from? Mama Africa. The drums, the rhythm, the curves and the asses on our women. We didn't get them from white people. Sorry. So what do you like? Like I know black, but you listen to hip hop. You want to use the N word. You want to. Oh, I'm tired of these Afrocentrics, blah blah blah, Afrocentrics. These Afro Americans. Okay,
But we
then
tend
I
to
don't want to hear you. I don't want to. Don't listen to hip hop. Don't be braiding your hair the way you braid it. Don't use the N word. Don't use AAVE. Don't do
we
none of that
we tend
shit.
to forget that the natives from whatever country they were, the natives in the beginning, all they know how to do was take care of the village, which was hunting, and they would find their own ways to be festive amongst themselves. Each native village came up with their own set of instruments, very replicable to what Africa, Acapulon, the first Sumerians, the first people of the Hebrews. All these people have the native instinct of wanting to come to worship. Hence the reason why they made instruments. It was for a way of worship. Um, Even in martial arts, we have our own set of what we call drums and this and that and bells, and everything has to do with having harmony with what you're hearing and being one with that harmony. And that's where the villages came up with their styles of music. So yeah, a lot of native folklore will seem to have extended from Africa only because its originality comes from the most deepest of the most deepest of the most native, the most ancient. Nothing that has to do with any kind of modernism at all. I'll leave that there.
All right.
Well, I'll just say this. What you not just like one thing I've noticed with people that think this way, and this is not just from the Latin perspective, even me being an African American, what I noticed with certain African Americans too, and people in general, you got like, for instance, what like the way the concept of how people view things from Latin America versus here in the United States is the difference in colonizers. When you look at the British and the Dutch and all of them, they came to the mainland. Their methods on race different from the Spanish because the Spanish had the idea of breeding out the blackness. If we create this caste system and we keep intermixing, then we'll breed them out. When the British idea of race was we're going to use these people as slaves and use them for the labor, and we're going to completely separate them because we believe in pure whiteness, pure Anglo whiteness. So those are the reasons, and usually a lot of us
Oh
we
wow, the Anglo Saxons. Yeah,
Saxons. A lot.
that's a deep story right there. If you go about the Anglo Saxons, I know as far as I'm Hispanic and I'm four types of Latin, but I was born and raised in New York.
Right.
I know that when it came to um the last few women that had title of queen in Spain, they hated the black people for the simple fact that the Moorish Empire conquered Spain in a 1, 2, 3, like nothing. And they were so upset. They were like, "Oh, our army did nothing. Like we weren't able to stop it." To the point where, if you notice, In America, we use the word moron and it means idiot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The word moron does is not an American word. The word moron is the word that the Queen made to represent people that believe in Moorish empire stuff. People that believe in anything Moorish, you are a moron. You support the Moorish Empire. That's where that
Wow.
came from. And here we are in America using the word moron, thinking that it means idiot. It goes to show white supremacy. Moron doesn't mean idiot. Moron means someone that supports the ideology and the science of the Moorish Empire, of free people.
yeah, and that's the thing though. Even like even with the Moors, I don't know if the Moors was considered black Africans because a lot of them, I believe that they converted the Africans in North Africa over to Moorish, but the majority of them, if I'm not mistaken, came from the Middle East into North Africa, and then they conquered southern Spain, which explains why in Spanish some of the words are of Arabic origin. Like when you think about sugar, azúcar, any words with al or the pronunciation of al came from Arabic origin that was incorporated into the Spanish language.
Hence them following the hence them following Muhammad and all that. The whole
Yeah,
science of Allah and the number seven and all this, the number five. But in modern day, they still claim Morocco to be a Moorish capital, like a Moorish country. So if you come from Morocco, you're Moroccan. Automatically, they say that you have the you know, what do you call that? Like a sovereign right of being, from the Moorish Empire and or being part of its, its reach.
yeah. But yeah, like I was like with that the perspectives on race is a little bit different. And one thing I've noticed, like in Latin America versus the United States, is that of course a lot of people would say, oh, we're not like the United States in race, but depending on the country, it's so obvious that based off of for what other Afro Hispanics say, it's severe racism and it's blatant. Even going back to it's been blackface in Latin American television and different things like that. I can remember even as a kid because I would turn to Uno Vision or Telemundo because they had episodes of Dragon Ball Z that they didn't have in English. I just remember seeing nothing but European people on Univision or Telemundo. The only time I've ever seen people of color was I can remember that talk show Louder, and it was always like the indigenous people being kind of like made of buffoons as the guests and everything. I didn't understand what they were saying, but you can tell like they was the ones that was doing the negative behavior that was that everybody else was watching and different things like that. But yeah, like mostly all of us as colonized people believed in that concept of whiteness, and a lot of people are just dishonest about it. Even here in the United States, people uh, they just dishonest about it. People don't want to be honest and say that's what it is. So what AD was saying, and it's the same thing here. AD, what you were saying about over there on the island in the DR, how we want the people to be white, but we still want to retain the rhythm and the Afro. It was the same thing here. Like Nat King Cole, for instance, when Nat King Cole used to perform and sing, white people loved Nat King Cole. They just didn't want to see him. And what you would see how they would whitewash all of African American culture. They turned around and made Elvis Presley the king of rock and roll when Elvis Presley took everything that he learned from black people.
Everything.
Everything.
All right, but not for nothing, right?
Mhm.
And this is a theory that's been going on for a long time, right? Now, the theory is, right, that Elvis Presley technically was not all Caucasian, right? Because they said historically that he belonged to the group called the Melungeons, right? So technically, when people like, oh, Elvis stole this, Elvis stole that, but technically, the Melungeons, which is actually like a forgotten group in the United States, right? They had, I guess, European, Native American, and African ancestry, right?
Mhm.
So I'm just saying the theory. So when people say that Elvis stole the music and everything like that, technically, if it is true that he was a Melungeon, he didn't really steal anything because he has black ancestry too. I'm just saying, there's a theory.
To
I
be
I
to be hold
disagree.
on, brother. To be
Hold on one second.
clear on that, it's not that he stole the music of these people. It's the fact that word for word, song for song, he stole songs from people.
Right.
That's what the problem is. The problem is not that he found black music and cultivated to become white. That's not the problem. The problem is that he took black people's songs that were already sung, already on paper, maybe copywritten, maybe not, but he took them for his own. Us growing up in the 80s and 90s, we used to call that biting. That's copy infringement. He did it, made it popular, and it
Exactly.
was not a problem.
Well, and it's even more to it than that. It doesn't matter if he was Melungeon or any, and it's funny because everybody we all got these distinctive groups, right? But in reality, whether it's from the islands to the mainland, it consists of all three in everywhere: Native, European, and African. I find that funny, but
That is so true.
like,
For
but
real.
Yeah.
the thing that gets me is that whether he was Melungeon or not, Elvis was a racist, and there was a lot of people that had African ancestry. If they can pass as white, they would, and they would be racist towards black people. Elvis was, no doubt about it, a racist. He was, known for saying racial disparaging things. He got his whole style from African Americans in Memphis. He got his style of dress from African Americans in Memphis. He completely took most of his blueprint from Chuck Berry. He took Chuck Berry's song "Blue Suede Shoes" and
Yep.
made it over. And the funny thing is, when he before Elvis was the white face of that music was called jungle music, and white people wasn't even they didn't even want to hear that music with a black face on it. All of a sudden, Elvis Presley come along, and then all of a sudden, it's something new, innovative, and creative. And I was just saying that to piggyback off of what AD said. That has been the idea since colonization, whether it be from the islands here to the United States or in South America, whatever people of African origin, because they are deemed as inferior. They were the slaves. We don't everything. They're unattractive people, from their skin to their broad noses to their lips to their coarse hair. We don't want to have anything to do with those people in society. Their objective was to be brought here to build up labor, whether it be in the Caribbean islands, Latin America, or here in the United States. And now we have a population of people of African descent that we don't know what to do, or we don't know any way to get rid of them. So the idea is, what do you do with an ex-slave population? You seclude them from any other societal norms, and whatever they create, you capitalize off of it and take their culture, and you put Europeans as the face of it, and continue to capitalize, and even in some cases lie about history and say that Europeans did this and this and this, and those wasn't Africans that did that. That is our culture. And people don't have a problem with it as long as it's in the background. If I can say, oh well, it's cool when I can be a white person and say, oh well, my great great grandmother was black, because it's not presenting on me, it's not shown. It add a little bit of mystique to it. You get what I'm saying? And that's how a lot of people would rather have it versus actually black people being in the forefront because that goes against the narrative that white is better.
It's funny though. You go to other parts of Europe, and Europe loves black people because most of the black people that they knew brought stuff to them that they didn't have. Like they have statues of a black scholar who brought math to Europe. You know what I'm saying? They have black statues of different things and different people that meant something politically at one time. So it just goes to show that black people have been around since the dawning of time and have been showing what is knowledge and power. And history now, all of a sudden, wants to dawn down and stampede on that history to make a new history. History cannot be replaced. This is the problem with today's educational system. We want to talk about Black history on February, but we want to teach all these kids these fake pagan holidays. Why are my kids doing Halloween stuff? Why are my kids doing Christmas stuff? Why do my kids need to know about the LGBTQ situation? Why do my kids need to learn any of that? They're there to learn their ABCs and one, two, threes. Why are you trying to fuse the light bulb that God gave these children?
Yeah, well, it's done purposely for money. It's done for money to keep people confused. That way, we can take advantage of them in the future and take.
Systematic order and conditioning.
And it's conditioning, and a lot of people are complacent with that. It's a lot of people that who feels that they're part, whether they're complete or not. You have certain people that feel, since I have European in my background, or I'm superior than a person that's monoracially just black. And some people go along with that. You have black people who have inferiority complexes, who feel the same way, who feel that they are better than me because I am black, or white people are better than me because I am black. I've literally had black people who will sit there and agree with white people. It's conditioning, and it's been that way since the inception of a lot of this colonization. I've literally had black people. Yeah, I've literally had black people tell me white people are right. We don't have no culture.
That's
Literally,
messed up.
another.
That person lost their
No,
flesh.
no. You want to know something which is funny? Not to interrupt you gentlemen. What was actually funny, right? Like the person that doxed me, right? We're not gonna go around and promote that piece of crap around my own page. One of the things that the person went up and had the audacity to say, which was a term I never heard of until that day, is that I'm a monoracial.
A what?
So a monoracial. I guess you're one race. But
Okay.
yeah,
I mean, what's wrong with being a
that's
monoracial?
that's 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 what I'm
I
saying. I'm
believe
like,
all children under the sun are children of the Lord. It doesn't matter how tan, toasted, bleached. Doesn't matter
thank
what
you.
skin pigmentation you have. We're all the human race. There is no color.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Color
Well,
is not a race.
the thing is, unfortunately, due to like what I just talked about, what they said
conditioning,
that
yeah.
why they said that, Don, to in some ways say, in some ways, in code word, that means you're inferior because you're not
Oh,
mixed. You're not as mixed with European ancestry as I am. You don't have presenting European features like like I do. That's you gotta be able to read between the lines when people
I,
say,
I, I, I
yeah.
I read between the lines, and I
No, no,
just
no,
had to
not you.
ask.
I'm just saying people in general,
Yeah.
because people will make those little. They'll say those little things with microaggressions. They because they know they can't outright say what they want to say. They believe people say it.
microaggression. I like
They'll
that.
say it in private amongst a little group, but they, you know,
With aggression, they'll say it in private. When they're in public, they say it with
Hmm.
microaggression. They don't
yeah,
want to get jumped. That's funny. I like that. I'm gonna use that one of these days, and I'm gonna quote you.
Exactly.
You heard, brother? I'm like, they use microaggression.
yeah, microaggressions.
I had
Yeah,
never heard that before, and I was in the military for 10 years.
but
So
you
I
know
I
what?
I, I love that concept. I'm gonna use that one of these
Oh
days.
yeah, it's for instance, a microaggression is when you can feel it's like an unspoken tension. Let's say I walk into a store and and they have this idea, these prejudice, they already perceive me, and based off of the prejudice that they have, their energy, the energy that they greet me with. You get what I'm saying? That's a
That's it.
microaggression. When I used to go to the gun store, I could feel that these people was racist. Like you could just tell. Like
When they cast prejudgment.
yeah, they cast prejudgment. They look down upon you because even one thing I had to learn, the history of gun laws in this country never wanted black people to be able to own guns.
Huh.
Oh
So it
yeah,
So
that's why
wasn't
the Black Panthers were such a threat.
yeah,
yep,
because it wasn't we the people. And that's why the Black Panthers, as a people's party, were saying power to the people. It's not a people of just one color. You can't have the right to bear arms and I don't, only because your constitution was signed by white folk.
yeah, and when you look at the Black Panthers, they changed the laws in California from open carry to concealed carry because of the Black Panthers for exercising their right. It was like everything. The guns was strictly prohibited from black people owning guns, and you got to think during these reigns of terror, would it, like if when a lot of these KKK members and different people was lynching people in Alabama and Mississippi, would they been doing that if black people had guns to fight back?
Nope.
They didn't. And the only thing that helped over in Black Wall Street when they burned down Black Wall Street was that it was a lot of it was a lot of black men there that was ex-military
Yep.
from serving in World War I, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
and they had firearms that helped defend them against the whites when they burnt it down.
I'm getting some feedback, like I'm hearing your voice double time.
Someone there may be someone else.
Everyone else needs to mute up. But this is why I'm saying we should all be professional fighters. All black people should know mixed martial arts, and we need to have health insurance.
Absolutely.
PIP is a must.
We need to have
Personal
health
insurance,
insurance, and we need to have life insurance.
personal insurance protection. That's right.
And learn financial literacy because like
Yes.
for instance what you talked about AD and what the brother what's your name again, brother
Pete. Pete's
P,
good.
yeah, like you if you notice with the people that y'all talked about, right, these people don't have any problems with over on the island over in the DR. You have all of these white folks coming over there capitalizing off the Dominican people, the Arabs capitalizing off the Dominican people, the Asians capitalizing off the Dominican people. And none of that money is being funded right back into the Dominican people. That money is being made there off of the Dominican people, off of Dominican labor. And of course, a lot of these people are bringing in Haitians, the Haitian people from the eastern side of Hispaniola to because they don't want to pay the Dominican people the wages that they need to survive. They rather pay the Haitians because they know the Haitians is in a destitute situation of survival. They rather take them and pay them to do the cheap labor, which is the same business model that is done here in the United States. When you see
It's a
people that,
monopoly.
yeah, you
It's a
capitalize
monopoly.
off of
Let
cheap
me
labor.
let me cut you for 2 seconds. I'm from San Pedro Macorís, and in San Pedro we have Ingenio Consuelo, which is one of the main sugarcane factories on the east side. We have Ingenio Quiqueya, we have Ingenio Vega, we have Ingenio Santa Fe. Um, we have a few places that are mulling down sugarcane as we speak. It bothered me to the core that while I was on leave from the military and visiting DR, I saw a lot of people from different countries that were brought on ships over there to work there, and they had like their own bunker where they were just gonna sleep in those bunkers and do the sugarcane process for whatever 3 months, and then go back home and then come back for another 3 months. And I'm like, what about the people from this country that need to work? So it's funny how we're using, let's say, another major franchise. We have the Zona Franca. The Zona Franca de San Pedro is the industrial free zone. It's huge. I mean, huge. The Wolverine factory is there for the boots. They have gold bracelet factories. They have all types of stuff. Uniform factories, and this is where the average people are working at, and even they're being cut off because they'd rather pay people that are starving to the core so they could just give them penny change. But it's funny only because, and it's funny, but it's not funny. A lot of these companies are North American companies and or European companies that they don't want to have these factories in the United States and or in Europe because then they have to pay people from the country the minimum fee of what the country says they have to pay. For that, they have a fleet of 200 workers working something that all they're doing is paying the salary of four people in euros being, you know, uh, whatever, exchanged to the peso, and then getting paid off of that. So it's all a monopoly.
It's
And the,
been a monopoly, and that's the thing, P. Not to cut you off, but this same business model that exists now is the same business model that existed back then in colonial times in colonization. You look back in the Caribbeans, right? What was the Caribbean known for? It was known for sugar, it was known for coffee, it was known for rum. All of these different rum companies and coffee companies and sugar companies made their profits off of cheap slave labor. The only difference is now is just they people are not enslaved anymore, but it's still cheap labor, and they're not going to pay a livable wage because they're greedy and it cuts into their profits of their personal of of their personal funds. So that's pretty much what they're doing. And here's a human behavioral pattern that we all need to pay attention to, because we know, like for instance, I'm not going to mention his name, but like the person that Don and AD was talking about earlier, um people like that, and it's people like that here in the United States. They always punch down because they feel that they can't win going against the people that's actually doing them the most harm, which is the government, which is these companies, different things like that. You have so many people that scream, "Oh, this country, I love my country," and all of this other stuff. But yet, the people that are running the country are the ones that are doing the people a disservice. They're the ones that are destabilizing other countries so they can capitalize off of people's situations, so they can use them for cheap labor to enrich themselves, not the country. Those same people that we talked about will tell a person that's majority of African origin that he's not Dominican, but they're not going to tell an Asian person that they're not Dominican, or the person of Israeli descent that they're not Dominican, or Arab descent that they're not Dominican, because they look at those people as better. So, and those are the people, and not saying all, but those are the people that are taking money out of the country, enriching themselves, or finding ways to use those profits to help in connection with other groups as well that they may have close relationships with. And none of that money is being filtered into the people on the island. Same thing here in the United States. These
yep,
corporations are bringing people in from South America and other parts in Asia and different other places, and they are making sure that they're using these people not only for cheap labor, but using these people so they don't have to pay the American people. And it's all the same game that's been going on. But just like what we said in the islands, what do American people do? They punch down on them because they feel that a lot of the times they can't fight the people that are in charge. And so they, and that's a behavior pattern that a lot of people need to pay attention to. You rarely hear people talking about who's the people that are doing this, who's the people that are pulling the strings. It's always anger that's directed towards the people that's just trying to survive. Misplaced anger.
yep.
Like, people be like, oh, I might not be able to get to the politicians or the corporations, but I can attack this person that just came from over the border. Oh, I might not be able to get to the Vacinis and the sugar that control the sugar factory, but I can attack this Haitian. It's like it's the
Power
same.
struggle, constant
Yeah,
power struggle.
it's people that they punch down, and a lot of the times too is because a lot of people are cowards. People are
and
cowards. They
and
don't
then
want to.
and then not to say anything like that. But you have certain people who actually are displaying selective outrage. Like for example, on TikTok, right? We're just gonna go around and call this person the Graho Hunter, right? The male Graho Hunter. He went up and made a like I was just posting on TikTok. I'm not even I post my stuff. I'm not with no camp or anything like that. So this person decides, oh, you should go around and join us in defending the Dominican culture. You know what? You know what I've seen? That this guy was an idiot because I went up and I made a post on my TikTok, right? Remind you, I used the words of how certain people who are, who are lighter or white passing, right? Hispanics. They go around, they tout that they hate black people and everything like that. But some of them, and this is a known fact, they have they have African religious practices. I just said that, right? All these Hispanotaps on TikTok were telling me how I'm dissing the Dominican Republic and everything like that. When the fact is, my words did not mention anything about Dominicans. We were talking about Latinos as a whole. But it looks like that these people are so deflecting and so in their anger about what I said. Their points didn't their points null and void when I shut them down. I was like, look at the words I'm speaking. Did it say you? Did it say everybody else? Until you're gonna go around and attack me for saying something and calling me something that I'm uncultured and everything, you better go around and look at the words that was said for before you're gonna go and come at me. And it looks like that some of these people lack comprehension.
True.
Don Jose, what you have to say about that?
No, I say it's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's to the point that
Can I be
if I'm
brief?
gonna, yeah,
Can I
sure.
be brief? It's easy for people that lack comprehension to find something to discuss about. It's easy for someone that lacks that bit of knowledge to misunderstand what somebody's trying to manifest when they're trying to manifest light in a situation. And then again, you have the situation where you're manifesting light, so you're bound to stir up some demons. You can't let it affect you.
Yeah,
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you the way
I
people
just
think,
found,
man. Oh, I'm sorry, Don. Go ahead.
and to me, it was funny because when I saw that, I was like, wow, you doing all that, but yet you're supposed to be defenders of what y'all defending. I think y'all need to have some mental and emotional intelligence if you're gonna actually stay, if you're gonna be a defender of anything. Well, that's just my opinion.
Well, and the crazy thing is, Don, right? What you say, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. People, they don't care that the religions or the culture that they worship was created by black people. That part I want to keep. It's the black people I don't like. It's not that, and that's the thing. That's how people think. I don't like the way those people look. I don't like nothing. But we can keep, yeah, we'll keep the culture. And that's the hypocrisy in a way certain people think. You know what's funny? people are so and people are followers. A lot of people they're intellectually lazy. They don't really like to do a lot of different research and stuff like that. If you guys today, let's say hypothetically speaking, um, let's say you guys decided to go and you made some type of change on the island, where a lot of the Dominican people on the island was able to start getting paid better wages and be able to improve the quality of life for people that's living in the campos and different things like that. If you three was to do that today and it gained national news, the same people that's talking shit on y'all, even the one person we was talking about, they will start quietly following y'all. You get what I'm
But
saying?
they'll have us murdered in a week or a month. They don't
No,
like
no, no,
when
no.
people rise up positively.
No, I'm just saying if you all was making if you all was advancing and changing things, those people will start following y'all. Not only will they start following you, like, but they'll feel more courage to speak on on the corporations or the people that's controlling the island because you all are making change now versus just speaking on other people that are just being brought over there to work, for cheap labor. They would feel more compelled to speak on that because now they wouldn't feel so afraid. You get what I'm saying? That's the way. That's the way people. That's the way. A lot of people think. A lot of people don't have any problems with oppression and being under the thumbs of somebody, long as they got somebody they can say that they're better than.
Excuse me, God, everybody, I'm going to drop off. First of all, it was a pleasure interacting with all you
It
guys.
was a pleasure having you.
Yeah, Donald, thank you very much for letting me on your platform. And I just want to wish all of you a very good night and be safe out there.
Have a good night,
Hey,
Yeah.
have a good one.
Have a good
Take
night,
care.
Don Jose.
Blessings.
Bye.
So,
Yeah.
not to sound like I'm out of pocket or anything, but are we talking about martial arts?
Well,
Oh
we
yeah,
were
we
talking.
were earlier. Yeah. No, we
Yeah,
were
we
earlier.
was. Yeah, we was because it. But then it tied into that. Remember, I was telling you about that social issue that was happening. So this is our sister aiding Medra Makorisana también. So yeah. I guess there's some feedback, but I don't know if it's on my end or anybody else's end.
I'll mute up.
Um, yeah, I was um, I was actually trying to actually get certain people internationally to actually come so we could talk about the different training regiments as akin to the United States and all the other places. But I guess I failed in that job, but I'll try to do it again next week as far as getting the different histories and training regiments, etc.
That's the beauty of martial arts. Even if it's the same topic, it doesn't get old. It's not something that'll be on the back burner. It'll be something it's like a partial question in any test. So what do you think about the training regiment? Like that can go on any topic.
Exactly. I mean, a little bit. I'm not gonna go around and say I'm a little bit familiar with the Dominican training regiment because I've had friends and I've actually seen with my own eyes when I used to live in San Pedro, like up in the university. I don't know if it was karate or if it was taekwondo. Remind you, I was like 3 years old at the time. But I saw my first form of martial arts within that gymnasium in the La Universidad Central de Este. I remember that.
Did you train with Julian?
I didn't really train. It was like, okay, I didn't train with nobody at that time. I was just 3 years old, just seeing stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because
Well, that's a
one,
different ballgame. But Julian was the head coach, let's say, of whatever martial arts program was in Laos. And I know this man
Right.
personally. He was a captain of the army. He lived right there in Barrio Restauración. I used to drink beers with this man. He
Right.
not only was he a captain of the army, but he was the last, not the last head, but the last person in the seniority rank of a kung fu system that he was learning back in China before he even got into the army. And then on top of that,
Wow.
he's a black belt in karate. He's a black belt in taekwondo. He's a black belt and he's a black sash in salat. He's a black sash in arnis. He's a black. I'm like, yo, bro, did you ever stop? He said, I never stop. And he's a beast. Julian is a beast. He was a short guy with glasses. He was an animal.
Yeah. And I was actually trying to get my boy some um that he's from the capital, right? And he is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's actually been on my honor on some of our chats on WhatsApp. He's a good producer too. So what I was trying to do, right? And the thing is, I learned the martial arts around that time in the capital. He was telling me of his master in jiu-jitsu, right? But the thing is, though, he forgot the master's name, and and the way that he was telling me is that he knew that the master was Dominic that he had Dominican and Haitian ancestry, and he taught him jujitsu and gave him black belt, etc. Right? And the thing is, though, he couldn't since he was so much in the United States and everything like that, he couldn't go and locate his master. So my thing is that you have certain people who are actually in that predicament that they don't know their that they do not know their how should I say their masters or their founders or whatsoever. I want to actually have my show, which is like a beacon, so people could actually be united with the founder or I guess the martial arts brothers in that aspect. So that's what my one of my main goals is with this show too, because there's a lot of people that they might know and everything like that, but then sometimes they may not know enough or whatsoever, or they don't know, or they haven't met somebody who is of their same not lineage, but that might have practiced the same martial arts, etc., because of I guess country country wise distance or distance in general.
You asked the question, or was that a statement?
I was just saying that's a statement. Yeah,
Oh, okay, I thought you asked the question because you took a long pause.
yeah. I was just because I was like, okay, I had to take the long pause because I was hearing feedback. I was trying to say it was me because I heard like sirens and stuff.
Yeah, I was calling my kids to serve them food. All this time that I've been on mute. I've been cooking.
Yo,
I
now
multitask like
that's what's
crazy.
up.
I multitask like no other. You know what? You know what my nickname is in the hood? Mom, because I'm a man on a mission.
Hey, so Pete, you grew up in the Bronx too?
Born and raised in Manhattan.
Okay.
The only time I lived in the Bronx was after being an adult. That I lived on 167 and Ogden Avenue, right
Oh,
next to the fire department.
okay. And the part of Manhattan that you grew up in that was uptown, like it's for Manhattan is considered uptown.
92nd and First, 100 in Columbus, and 96 in Broadway.
Oh, is that like the Lower East Side or
That's like I would call it the middle of the
okay?
Upper East Side
Got
because the Middle East Side is more like the 40s through 60s, 70s.
okay,
But
got it.
come the 90s and up, now you got El Barrio, Spanish Harlem.
Right.
You got the real Harlem. and then you go to the other side. You got Washington Heights, you're Morningside. So I know about New York pretty well. I mean, I was born here, but I was raised mostly in DR. But
Okay,
in my back and forth, I was able to experience a lot between here and there.
gotcha. That's
I mean,
understandable.
I mean, with me, Pete, it was like, how should I say? I got to experience New York a little bit, but then when I became older, I experienced New York more, and I was, I was like in my young thing, I was living down south, but I still came back and forth to DR to visit my relatives. But I was actually on my mom's side that they always spoke English to me, so that didn't help. So you know how that goes. And then whenever I went to my pop side, mom always had to go around and translate for me. But it was all love though.
Was it the Consuelo side of your family that lived in Atlanta?
Uh, actually, it's both of I think it's both of them that actually live in Atlanta right now.
It's funny
Because
because my cousins that are from Consuelo, that's where their family was from Atlanta. So it was funny. Like,
it was like this. My aunt, right? I was not really raised in Atlanta. I was raised in Gulfport, Mississippi. So I was raised with my aunt. So therefore, and it's weird because like my my aunt, she came into this country in 1957, and then she moved to down south in the 1970s with her husband. After her husband passed and everything like that, that's when I came and my brother came, and she was like our guardian, and she was like our guardian and so forth. And then I went back to New York. Shortly after that, she passed away. So during the trips when I used to go with my aunt back and forth to the Dominican Republic, I could actually say I had good times and such. And it was to the point now that I'm recollecting and everything. When I used to go to Consuelo, there used to be a lot of goats and everything like that, and I actually thought it was cool. Now that I'm 40, you rarely see a goat in Dominican in Consuelo nowadays. I guess that's how things change.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, and it's crazy how things are just changing in all of these different cities, all over the states too. Like Chicago ain't definitely ain't the old Chicago that I grew up in, and I heard a lot of things are changing in New York with gentrification and different stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, change for the better or change for the worse? Because
Um, it looks like it might be change. I can't even say change for the better. I mean, because I remember when they tore down the housing projects here. Like all our housing projects are gone, and
what year was that, bro?
oh, it happened between the late '90s and mid 2000s.
Oh man, that's
That's
wild.
like Cabrini Green, Roberts
Oh
Hill.
yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that. They said that the only way that we're gonna diminish crime in that area was taking the housing tenements out.
Yeah, and they did, but they just gentrified it, and pretty much they never do anything to remedy crime or to improve the living conditions. All they do is just spread the poverty around and gentrify the area for more rich or well-to-do people to come in.
I mean, are you familiar with the story of Seneca Village?
Yes, I'm
You
familiar with.
know, right now, people be born in New York and don't even know. They think Central Park was always Central Park. Like if that was born and raised there. God did not make Central Park.
Right,
Central Park is not God made. Central Park used to be the Seneca Village, which was New York's Black Wall Street.
right,
Schools, churches, all types of stuff, you name it. Banks.
Yeah.
They took them out to make this massive park and put them here in Harlem. Now they want to turn around and abbreviate South Harlem uh, Soha and North Harlem Noha. I mean, no, we ain't doing that downtown South, NoHo, Soho, south of Soho.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that. Leave Harlem how it is. Harlem.
All right, but in all retrospect, right? I'm just saying, if Harlem is being gentrified, right? Wasn't it like the old Harlem, right? I'm not talking about the 20s and 30s. I'm talking about like the 1800s and such, right? Wasn't Harlem the original name of what the Dutch called it because of Old Town that is called Harlem with two double A's, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was the
And
Dutch. Yeah, that was the Dutch. You're right.
and then Brooklyn was just anglicized because I have a
Brooklyn,
cousin
that was
that
Dutch.
actually
Yeah.
exactly that actually
Brooklyn was
lives
King
in
County.
Brooklyn. Yeah.
But I think the whole New York was called New Amsterdam, right?
Yeah, New Amsterdam. The Duke of York. He's the one
Yeah.
that changed it into New York.
Uh-huh.
And the Bronx, which a lot of people don't understand, that even you still even have descendants of the Bronx that still live in the
Yeah.
Bronx to this day, which is crazy. Because the
And the same
original way
thing.
that the Bronx was spelled, why they call it the Bronx, because that whole borough was actually swampland, and it was a Dutch family that was named the
Mountains.
Bronx.
Yep.
So,
Mountains. It's just forest.
Oh, wait, their name was called the Bronx?
yes,
Bronx
because it
was the last
yeah,
name.
yeah, because it referred to a family that owned the whole Bronx at that time. And the
Uh-huh.
They
Bronx,
owned it, beloved. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? The Bronx is not a small piece of New York City.
Right.
The Bronx is
mhm,
just as big as a Manhattan, and watch out. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? That's a big piece of land.
exactly.
The Bronx family. That's wild.
So the Bronx family, you see how we actually spelled the Bronx, Bronx.
Yeah.
The Bronx was actually spelled the original name of the Bronx. How it's spelled is Bornchs,
Oh, okay.
and then it was anglicized to the Bronx.
Anglicized.
Yeah,
It was Saxonized.
basically. But I used anglicized because of England and all the other stuff. So when it comes to I guess language or whatever, that's what a historian actually told me when I was actually going to high school. So I was like, wow,
That is wild. So,
yeah,
guys, just for a brief minute, I wanna, I wanna take the positive energy that I get from this show because a few months ago, like my brother knows, I was going through some turmoil and I was going through some trials and tribulations. And I'm never one to vent, but I am one to testify when it comes to how good things are going and how things are going to get better.
yes,
I went through a heavy down to the point where my old job that I had worked 14 years for, that I became second person of seniority in my company. It was bounce houses and all that good stuff. The old boss decided to sell the company to some people that already own buildings and restaurants in New Jersey. So they're not hungry to make events, but they do want events to happen, but they're just not hungry for it. If it falls on their lap, they'll call the warehouse and it gets set up.
that,
Meanwhile, meanwhile, the workers we're suffering because without events, we don't get a paycheck. You
mm-hmm,
know, so I went through that down, and my old boss gets in contact with me and says, "Listen, I'm gonna recommend you to go to this person, and I'm gonna call that person before you get there. You know, let's see what happens from there." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So he called the person. He told them about me. The person called me. I missed the call. I don't know why, for whatever reason. He called me a week later. I missed the call again. I don't know why. And then I see that I had a voicemail that just came out of nowhere. Instant voicemail. I'm like, a voicemail? I never get voicemail because I always pick up my calls. I listen to the voicemail, and lo and behold, it's the man that my ex boss wants me to go work for. So I go in, go on an interview. This man and I literally spoke for 2 hours just about carnival stuff. Nothing else was on topic. All we spoke about was carnival stuff, safety rules, safety guidelines, this, that, the third, inspections, how things get cleaned, how things operate, how many workers operate, this, that. So I've been working there with him for let's say what would feel like a week. And in just this 1 week, everything that I had planned, that I was trying to work on, that took months to plan out, and this 1 week, everything just flourished one after another. I started getting phone calls uh, um, from who used to be my secretary when I was a chaplain for the Marine Corps. I started getting phone calls from another company that they say they want to hire a manager that knows what I know. I'm like, wow. So it only does take one door to open for all the other ones to want to open.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, when my doors were shut, even my windows were shut. I couldn't even open the window to get a blessing, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But thank God for what I would call my immediate family, my bond, my support team, you know, um, the host, this brother right here, Armando, you know,
Yeah.
we are blood related because we're from San Pedro. We're blood related
Exactly.
because we have that faith, and we're blood related because our ideologies stand side by side. This man has helped me many a times in times of need, and it's a beautiful thing. And there's been other people as well that, I'm going to reserve their name for now because I know God already blessed them. All I'm saying is, if anybody's
Exactly.
listening, if you're going through hardship right now, understand that it's just a test that you need to pass. Everyone goes through trials and tribulations, especially if you're trying to proceed in a good way. Whenever you're trying to do something good, the dark will always try to fight against you. Don't stop. Resist the devil, and he shall run away from you. First of Peter.
Yes.
And my cat is meowing.
Yo, don't tell me that your cat's black and white.
Um, no, that one's actually all black with just one little patch of white stripe, like right in front of her heart. We call
All
her
right.
Moon. We call her Moon. And
Yeah,
then I have another cat that's brindle. She's a brindle cat with gray, black, blonde, and brown hair.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Those are just two of the animals of the house. I got a husky, I got a Shih Tzu, I got three turtles, I got two guinea pigs.
Oh yeah, we have to talk behind the scenes because my wife, she actually wants to get a small poodle.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay. Hmm. But the thing is though, I like a big or medium dog. But then, we settled on a medium, but then she still wants her small dog, so
If she gets an English poodle, those English poodles are actually big.
yeah. But she just wants like a small dog.
A
Not a
French
chihuahua,
one.
'cause, yeah.
She wants a French poodle. That's the more small medium. But the real English poodles, they're medium to
They're
large.
big.
They could be big. I'm
I
saying,
know.
and
I've
they're
seen
great
a lot of them in
guardians. They're
And I've
great
seen
guardians, bro. They look fluffy. Do not play with them. They're not there to be your friend. They're there to defend their owner, and they will bite the living snot out of you.
I've seen it.
They do not play. They love their owner to death. They will bite the snot out of you. Do not try it. Oh,
Hmm.
look at it, fluffy. Mincemeat.
Now that's why I'm like, I always ask the owner if I'm gonna pet a dog. I'm like, okay, she friendly? Should I yes or no? That's it.
Pretty much. It's no joke. The poodles are no joke. If it's a real English poodle, those English they're not there to be fluffy and be cute. They're not those. They're not French poodles. French poodles are show dogs. English poodles will bite the snot out of you. They're not playing. They're
Exactly.
not there to play. So I don't know. It became a pedigree show.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
Hmm.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Um. So my boss, my current employer, he was big into boxing growing up, and
Uh-huh.
still at 74, he practices boxing. But he had a small situation with one of his toes,
Got you.
and his coach kind of shamed him from coming back to the gym, like telling him like, you can't train without your toe, you can't train with a missing toe. And
Uh,
I didn't like that at all. I didn't appreciate that. So the other day I pulled up on him and I gave him a fighting stick, brand new, and it's plastic. And I said, "Your coach may have dropped you, but God always sends an angel. I'm your new coach. I'm gonna be teaching you how to fight with the stick. As long as your feet are guarded and you have shoes on, there shouldn't be any problem with you learning what you need to learn and to keep your body active. Because that's all you were boxing for, just to keep your body active." He's like, "Yeah, that's right." I said, "So don't worry about your coach. You just got a new one." And that man cried with me in the office. I was like, wow, it's true that people find some type of solace or peace in the martial arts, and they need it to live a peaceful life. So I'm happy to, be the person that's going to be instructing someone who's a senior to me, my employer.
exactly.
That makes me feel great. I feel like that's an honor in itself.
Uh, yeah. Well, I'm about to close out because the wife she's waiting for me.
I
So
hear you, beloved. I hear you. All
so
right. Well,
with all that said, peace and blessings to anybody who's actually looking at listening or watching the show. And next week we're gonna actually have the real side topic. Hopefully y'all actually have a lot of esteemed guests in the panel, so therefore we could actually talk about what's actually going on in the martial arts world.
all right. I'm looking forward to that. Um, like always, peace and blessings to all the listeners. Blessings to your friends and family. I'll send a quick prayer out to any listeners who are feeling sick. May they feel that divine healing. If any listeners have friends or family members in the hospital, our prayers go out to them. Let them feel that divine healing. We all need deliverance every once in a while. So, welcome the Lord into your heart, welcome the Lord into your home, and let the light shine, and things will change.
Amen.
That's a positive.
Yo.
All right, brother. I'm out of here. Us.
Us.